The trumpet has hundreds of meanings for Balkan gypsies. It makes them happy, it makes them dance, it gives energy, but it can be melancholic too at the same time. Unlike in other cultures, it is not a call to battle. The trumpeter is the king, the most popular man in the region. And if a band is good enough, and thanks to the Romani, there are enough of them in the Balkans, then the whole world is theirs. These are the words that can be read in the recommendation of an album of Serbia's most famous brass band, the Boban Markovic Orchestra. In the beautiful countryside of the central part of Serbia, in a valley enclosed by mountains 1,000 meters high, the small and world-renowned village of Gucha is located. The escarpment leading to the village is also called the Holy Mountain of the Serbs, as most of the Eastern Orthodox monastery from the 16th century can be found here. The settlement, however, has not gained fame among other immortal cities owing to its sacred heritage, but to a very different secular attraction. Namely, every summer for more than half a century, the most popular brass bands and the most skilled musicians gather here to compete with each other and to dazzle ever-growing audiences. The main attraction of the festival, which has now become world famous, is the trumpet, the highest register in the brass family. Similar musical instruments already existed in ancient Egypt, but the Greek salpinx or the Etruscan bucina are also considered ancestors. After a long absence, it was reintroduced again in Europe in the 10th century through the Middle East. The direct predecessor of the earliest kind of European trumpet, called bucine, with a very long and slender body, might have been the Arab nafir. The musical instrument was made of a thin metal sheet by soldering, hammering, and stretching, and was used for military signaling in ancient times and in the Middle Ages. The brass tubing, bent twice into a rounded, oblong shape, as known today, has been in use since the 15th century. Long live the sound of trumpets! This has been sung for nearly 2 centuries in the region. The parade, also known as the Trugačevo Assembly, began during the reign of Prince Milos Obrenović, who ordered the formation of the first military band in 1831. From then until now, the trumpet has reigned here, and traditionally accompanies every major event in Serbia's rural and small-town life. Births, baptisms, weddings, slavas, the family patron saint day, farewell parties for those joining military service, state and church festivals, harvesting, reaping, and also funeral ceremonies. Appropriate music is played on these occasions, thus preserving the spirit of the existing tradition. The music is very diverse, from indigenous melodies via kolo, a fast rhythm chain dance, marches, and characteristic southern Serbia Kocek dances, all the way to tunes that have emerged more recently, but always taking care to honor old harmonies. This music has won over the hearts of not only the local population, but has also warmed the souls of outsiders and foreigners. The traditional trumpet music has gained its world reputation over the past 2 centuries, despite the fact that most of the artists are not trained in schools, but are fully self-taught. They play by ear and quite spontaneously, relying on their musical memory. They play from the heart and soul, and their music reaches out to listeners precisely for this quality. The first Drugačevo assembly of trumpet players was held on the 16th of October, 1961, in the yard of the Church of St. Michael and Gabriel in Guča. Initially, it was a very modest assembly, almost subversive for the prevailing political circumstances of that time. As it was very successful, the event has gradually grown over the decades to become a renowned gathering that lasts for a couple of joyful days. No longer held solely for trumpet players, it has grown to include other artists as well, so visitors can enjoy different concerts, dance performances, and other cultural shows. Nowadays, the opening ceremony is held on the main square of Gucha at the life-size trumpeter statue where the flag of the festival is hoisted and the song Sa Ovčara I Kalabra is sung, marking the yearly beginning of the parade. During the almost non-stop show, the brass bands start the wake-up call at 7 o'clock each morning and do not stop until dawn the next day. The musicians wander up and down the streets all day long, escorting and encouraging passers-by to dance. They even go from table to table in little taverns to perform one or two impromptu concerts, making lively dance music on the request of the spectators. The top brass players from Serbia and the world pit their skills against each other at the festival. Awards for the best ones are presented in several categories, such as brass bands, trumpeters, and young talents. The most famous Serbian folk musicians, former winners and artists promoting Balkan ethno-music in other forms, also perform at the parade. Visitors have met such renowned stars of the genre here as Goran Bergovic, Boban, and Markov Markovic, or the most popular Serbian folk singer, Miroslav Ilic. Besides the national performers, trumpet players, folk singers, and dance groups from around the world deem it a great honor to perform here. Since the beginning, the Gucha Trumpet Festival has earned its place on the map of world music festivals over the past half-century or more. For example, the British Rolling Stone magazine listed it among the 15 best similar parades in Europe, and National Geographic regards it as one of the world's 10 most important musical events. Some think that this event is the #3 ethno-festival after the Carnival in Rio de Janeiro and the Oktoberfest in Munich. In addition to trumpet music, different programs lend variety to the event, such as exhibitions, book and traditional costume displays, cultural and artistic performances. The most popular event is the street parade of the participants, when the brass bands and groups, dressed in traditional costumes, wander the village all over, accompanied by an enthusiastic uproar and applause. The excellent atmosphere is provided by not only the continuous music, but by the Slavonic temper typical of the locals. The parades held in recent decades have several curiosities and records. 2001 was the first time ever that a musician got the highest mark from every jury member. His name is Boban Markovic, who has gone on to win the first trumpet title several times. Nowadays, the artist does not compete anymore, although he performs at the festival every year with his son and orchestra. The legendary musician said the following things about the festival in an interview. "If I had to put the essence of this magical event into one sentence, I would say, nowhere else in this world does the trumpet sound as it does at the Gucha Trumpet Festival. Every trumpeter dreams about performing on the stages here. Even the greatest ones play for free, only for the honor. Gucha is one of the biggest festivals in the world, annually held in August with almost 500,000 visitors, huge tents, first-rate foods, and impetuous revelry." An attendance record was set in 2002 when Gucha hosted in excess of 300,000 visitors. Since then, this number has been exceeded 3 times, as more than 800,000 visitors and 300 journalists attended the 50th anniversary event held in 2010. Official invitations to the presidents of Russia and the US and to the Russian Prime Minister were also issued. A documentary about the notable festival was filmed at the 2005 event, while in the next year, every 6th visitor came from abroad, and a Serbian brewery, the main sponsor of the festival, reported beer sales of 4,000 hectoliters. The festival, and specifically the victories of Boban Markovic, have inspired the film director Dusan Milic, who made a feature film called Gucha in 2006, starring Marko Markovic, the rightly famous son of Boban. The movie, shot on location at the festival, is a Balkan Romeo and Juliet story about two young people in love coming from the two best and rivaling Serbian trumpeter families. In addition to the musical and cultural experiences, those who love culinary delights should not miss the festival either. Since the festival is not only a celebration of the trumpet, but also an exhibition of the local folk art and dishes. Tents offer traditional Serbian food and drinks, such as lamb and pigs on the spit, while the famous wedding dish, the stuffed cabbage delicacy called svadbanski kupus, boils in earthenware pots. While visiting the festival in 2006, former Prime Minister Vojislav Koštunica stated the following about the importance of the Gucha Trumpet Festival. Gucha is a Serbian brand. It's a value that can represent Serbia in the world. Those that can't understand and love Gucha cannot understand Serbia.